Hi there,
Hi.
everybody. This is Leann and Julie from Spiritual Seeds Planner. Thank you for joining us today. And with us today, we have Sarah from the Miami Valley Foundation. And Sarah works with women and families, but primarily women, in a multitude of settings. But she also works and uses the Spiritual Seeds Planner. So we've got her on the show today to share with us a little bit about how she's using the planner and what she's doing. So Sarah, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. And if you want to just share a little bit about your role and what you're doing, that would be great.
Awesome. Thanks for having me today. It has been just fantastic to connect with you guys, and I'm excited to be with you. So I'm Sarah, and as Leann already shared, I am a Hope for Community Director here in my area. And then I'm also a teacher and a mom. So a planner is super important for my life, that is for sure.
That's exciting. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So Sarah, do you want to tell us how you found the Spiritual Seed Planner? Like how we connected, or tell everybody how we connected?
Sure. Yeah. So good old Google, right? I literally just hopped on Google and I was looking for a planner. Now, I'm sure I probably added the word spiritual, or I added the word Christian, or, there was something in there that probably made this one pop up. But I was looking for something that had more depth to it. I've used planners similar to this, but I was really looking for something that made me reflect upon my life beyond just your typical goal setting, but that was more spiritual. And so this one popped up, and it was, I really believe it was the Lord, to be honest, because of the ways that we've been able to connect and the ways it's been used in my life and the life of others.
That's so exciting. And I think we have something in common with the Teen Challenge group. We have been partnering with the Teen Challenge here in the Pacific Northwest. As far as planners, but we have a package on our website that we offer. If you purchase a planner, we throw in some extra goodies, and we give a planner to the Teen Challenge group here locally. So I know that was part of what appealed to you as well, Sarah.
Yes, that's actually what made it that this was the planner I was ordering for sure. When I saw that you guys were connected to Teen Challenge, and the fact that then, my purchase could also help someone that was in Teen Challenge, and the fact that I come along, women who have been a part of Teen Challenge, that was really what sold it for me.
It's been so exciting. And I know then Sarah reached out to us, and this relationship has started. And so we've been excited to support Sarah and her group as well. So can you tell everybody a little bit about how this planner, now that you've been working it, is different than other planners that you've used in the past?
Yes. So I would say that the biggest difference is that spiritual side of it. As I already said, I've used lots of different planners because I love to use my planners for, more than just, oh, this is my calendar. I like to really think through my months. I like to be able to reflect upon my month. And so I would say that the biggest difference is that fact that you are honing in on the fruit of the spirit. And then, that monthly plotting section, oh my goodness, I just love that section. And so I would say that that's the biggest difference.
That's so exciting. And I think that we call it the paradigm shift. Like, just your priorities are different than the typical planner where you're saying, oh, I'm going to exercise more. Our planner is all about growing your spiritual fruit. So that's exciting that resonated with you. Can you give us any examples of how the planner, it's like, oh, here's where I really saw it work in my life?
Yes, sure. So I was actually just today looking back through my planner and thinking about the ways that it's been used. And that's one of the coolest things with a planner like this, is the fact that, you are planting or looking what you're going to plot and what you want to plant, how you want to grow. And so as I was looking back, I went back to January, and I saw on that monthly plotting section just some of the things that I was working on, and the different things that maybe I was convicted about in my life at the time. So just for example, in January, I focused on self-control, and I looked and just saw that, I put the verse in there, Ephesians 4, that says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up. And it just made me think about the fact that I started this year where I was really just feeling like my big mouth was getting me in some trouble sometimes. And so, I was reflecting upon how can my words speak life and build other people up. And so I wanted to plant that into my life. I wanted to plant that into my days, into my weeks, into my months, into my year. And so I can say that that has been something that I've gone back to throughout the year. And I do feel like God is just really starting to tame this ugly tongue of mine. But just make me think about, how can I use, plant this self-control, because it takes a lot of self-control to tame the tongue. But then how can that be used in my family and friends' lives? There's people closest to me that so often the people closest to us, they get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And so it was just good to think that through. So that's just one example of many.
That's awesome. I do love that, a lot of people are like, oh, I use something digital, or I don't use planners, but I love having that visual record. And I even have last year's to look back to be able to look to a previous month and look at the fruit. And sometimes you're repeating a fruit and say, what did I dig into, and what can I do differently this month, or what can I continue to work through? But you mentioned the monthly plotting, which I love. I love that we're purposely putting we call them 4 life plots: self and community, work, and friends and family, because I think it's important to make sure that you're not just growing your fruit in one plot, that you're not just saying, oh yeah, I'm very kind and loving with my family. But what about your community? But what about your work situation, and even with yourself? So I love your example, and I think it's great to make sure that we kind of force ourselves to think about every aspect of our life versus just one quadrant, possibly.
Yes, for
Funny
sure.
too. There's nothing personal about a cell phone calendar. It's not, right? But you think about this planner, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty attached to it. It's like my best friend, where I keep all the things that are super important in the comments, and almost like a journal in action. And they say when you write a goal, it's 42% more likely you'll achieve it. But especially when it's in your own handwriting, there's an emotional connection with it that you don't get by putting it in your phone. So it's so different. So
Not sure my writing's emotional. I would look at it and go, wow, I could have been a little neater about that. I have very bad handwriting.
I've seen the writing. That's funny. So Sarah, I know that you're using it personally, but you're also using this in a couple of group situations with the Teen Challenge and with the Empower. How is that going, and what's your feedback on that experience?
Yeah, so first, just to kind of go back to that personal piece, that I really feel like the fact that I'm doing this in community is actually helping me personally too. And so a lot of times, we think, okay, well, we're going to lead this group, and so I'm going to be used. Well, no, that's not how that really works. Most of the time, it then helps you grow. And so I can say that using this planner in a group setting is really helping me stay accountable, because it's easy, just not to do something. But the fact that I'm doing it with other people then helps me stay accountable to really do it, which then helps me grow. And so what that looks like as far as the different groups that I'm working with, His Hope for Her, which is in connection to Teen Challenge, as we've already talked about. And that group is ladies who have been affected by addiction, or who have struggled with addiction themselves. But they know that when they come to the group, that our whole focus is Christ. That at the end of the day, for us to overcome the things in our life, whether it's addiction or the trauma and the things that happen in our life due to being affected by addiction, that we're going to go to God's word, and God's word is going to be our guide. However, the Empower group is a group of single moms, which many of them have also been affected by addiction or have struggled with addiction, and some of those cross over. But many of the women in that group do not know Jesus. then they actually, some of them are even boldly against God. And so when I was thinking about the fact that, okay, I really kind of want to use this planner in both of these groups, I thought, how can this work? And actually, Leann and I had a great conversation that helped me think this through. But the coolest part was when I really started thinking about the fruit of the Spirit. You know, the fact that really what we're focused on is love and peace and joy and kindness and patience. Like, who doesn't want those things? Who doesn't want to focus on those things throughout their days and their weeks and their months and their year? And so that's really how I presented it to that group, was just, hey, yes, this is focused on the Bible, this verse is, but if this is not necessarily what you believe, I know that each one of you want peace in your life. I know that you want to be full of joy. And I know that you want to be kind to people and you want to be patient with your children. And, you know, I kind of just put it that way. And then it put us on the same playing field. And at the same time, I was still able to say, you know, for me, yes, I believe that ultimately that comes through Christ. That's where the fruit of the Spirit comes from. But let's work on these things together. And so it even opened up the door to share Christ in that, but to also just be humble in the fact that they could be turned off by the planner if I didn't preface it with that. And everybody was open to doing it. So it was really cool.
That's amazing. What a great testimony to the power of the word and the approach of being humble and not acting like we have it all figured out and it's my way or the highway, but really just extending an invitation to experience that love, joy, peace, you know. That's amazing. So you say nobody has rejected it. So if you were to recommend using the planner in a group, it sounds to me like maybe you would say, don't just invite your Christian women that you gather with on a regular basis, but maybe invite a group of women that don't have that established connection, and maybe some that aren't in the same faith, or even maybe a group of women or young women that you could help as opposed to who are your friends. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, for sure. And I would say in general, you know, encouragement to people that maybe, you know, Christ is your guide, however you want to word that. Sometimes it can be easy, like I said, for me, to look at something like this and be like, oh, only people who, you know, believe in the Bible would want to do this. But I can say I've experienced it firsthand. I actually also have a group foster home that has been going through it. And with the group foster home, the group that I run, we're not allowed to make it a Bible study unless it's their choice. So the regularity group that I run, we can't do that. But then I do things like prayer walks and different things where I invite them in. And most of them, because you have a connection, you have a relationship with them, they want to come into that. So I guess to even encourage the fact that if you do start to bring women into your life that maybe don't believe exactly as you do, that this could even be a gateway to say, hey, now I'm going to invite you into this next step if you want to join me. And so yes, I would say that this can be used in the life of anybody.
That's wonderful. So as we go into the 2022, I have to think about that. Will you use the Spiritual Seeds Planner again, or do you feel like it's a one and done?
I will definitely use it again. I'm planning on using it again. I'm planning on hopefully making it even better for me personally, but then also for the groups that I'm in. And one of the things I'm thinking about, which I'm kind of afraid to say on here, because then maybe it'll keep me accountable to really do it. It's a good thing. But I've been thinking about maybe even bringing different groups together and doing like a monthly planning group where maybe we just have a breakfast together or something like that, where together we're reflecting upon every single month, you know, how did our month go? What are we wanting to put in to this next month, which is definitely a part of those small groups. But I feel like I could almost make it hey, who wants to get one of these planners with me? Invite more people in. and then almost have it more generalized on that monthly basis, where then I'm still working through it with some of the smaller groups as well.
I love that. We're dying to get to in-person meetings with people. We're working on a few of those. So that sounds wonderful. And actually, Sarah, as you were saying it, it reminded me that I'm sure Leann's already shared with you that we took your feedback about that monthly reflection and added a statement. And we actually added 2 pages at the back for 2022. We added 2 pages, additional pages at the back of every month. And on the top of one of them, we said, here's your monthly reflection, because I think we use it. Everybody probably uses the pages at the back differently, but if you're using them throughout the month, but then can you stop and have a moment of reflection before you jump into the next month? And you really inspired us to put that in the plan, or just, if people see it and want to use it, that's fine. They don't have to. But at the same time, it's a good way to say, hey, don't just do it now. What did you learn from it? What did you reflect and take away from that? So thank you for your suggestion.
Yeah, no problem. I had actually used a planner before that had that, and it was so powerful for me to look back and say, okay, this is an area. So even when you're talking about those, those 4 different sections, I might be like, okay, I really self-control for me. I did really grow in that, with my family and my friends. But man, at work, I am struggling with that. And so it even helps you kind of say, where were the areas that I really feel like I was growing in, but then where are the areas that maybe I did not grow so well? So maybe what do I need to do next month, to make that change? So
add some fertilizer.
I think the reflection part will be really key.
Yeah, that's great.
I love that too, that it's really an affirmation of God's work. So when you look back, so often, like when we pray for something, we sometimes don't look back and watch what God did in answer to that prayer. And when you reflect, you kind of get to acknowledge his presence and what he's doing in your life. So I love that too. Sarah, you are an inspiration and a delight. And we are so grateful for what you're doing with these women and in your community, and that you're using the planner, because then we get to be a part of it. So thank you so much for sharing. And we just ask that you continue to go out there and spread the seeds. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. It has truly been a gift to me. And a gift to others. And I'm excited to use it again in 2022, which is so weird to think about that it's going to be 2022. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. And thank you for the ways that you have connected on that next level. And when I sent that email to say, hey, I also have a group, you didn't have to respond to that. I kind of felt weird doing it, but just knowing now that the Lord had something so much bigger than just my typical purchase of a planner. And so I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for the planner, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And I will definitely spread the word.
Excellent. Well, we'll follow up. We'll follow up in a few months and see how things are going.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.